right. Everybody ready?
Yeah.
All right. This is the City of Avondale Estates, Georgia Board of Mayor and Commissioners regular meeting. It is August 26, 2026. It's 5:30. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have an agenda before us. Do I have a motion to adopt?
So moved.
That was Graham. Elias second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Can everybody hear me? Okay. All right. First up, commissioner comments. Commissioner Stedman.
Well, just welcome all of you to this evening's meeting. And I hope you learn something and get to express your, your comments to us. So, I don't have anything else.
Okay. Commissioner Swazo? Commissioner Swazo?
Nope. Welcome, everybody.
This is your chance.
I don't really have much either, but thank you all for coming in the hot weather. I was just commenting out, so it feels like August has lasted a very long time. So I'm glad to see it coming to an end. But that's it for me. Thank you all for coming tonight. Yep.
I likewise have nothing. Thank you all for being here. We've got a good crowd. Appreciate it. Mr. Manager?
All right, I'll say stuff since y'all have no commentary tonight. Just want to remind everybody, we've got two big events in the city this week, or this weekend. Friday night is the Avondale Estates Kickoff Centennial Celebration with the street festival from 6 to 9 on Franklin Street between Olive and Pine. We have so much fun to have. Outdoor music DJ'd by Commune, a dedicated kid zone, local art and live improv comedy at Little Tree Art Studios. Those improv shows at 7 and 8 p.m. We'll have a special Avondale Estates exhibit from the DeKalb History Center inside of the Olive and Pine development. A self-care corner sponsored by Reformology Pilates. Food and beverages for purchase from Skips, Los Niños Taqueria, Enzo Izakaya, Night Owl, and Banjo. And we will also be including a special centennial beer brewed by Wild Heaven. All surrounding businesses will also be open. Free Italian ice will be provided courtesy of DeKalb County CEO Lorraine Cochran Johnson. We will have decade-themed photo opportunities, temporary tattoos from Avondale Estates' own Swinks Tattoo Emporium, free coasters, and a chance to see a working 1924 letterpress at Methane, and specially designed centennial items for purchase by Methane Studio, and much, much more. And then Saturday night, the community is hosting a centennial gala at the Avondale Estates Lake House. Tickets are still available online. There's also posters throughout City Hall that include a QR code that will link you right there. Should be a fun event. So if you are interested in that, please go ahead and buy your tickets before they sell out.
Cool. Well, thank you very much. Appreciate that. Okay. Any other comments up here? All right. Public comment. Julie. And everybody just name and address, please, just for the record.
Yes, Julie Fleming, 40 Clarendon. I don't yet have a final opinion about what's best for Avondale with our flock camera contract. I'm here with an open mind to listen. I promised some people to speak first because some people are nervous about public speaking. I have always felt welcome, heard, and respected here. I'm glad if we see more people here or online. Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Julie. Yes, sir.
I suppose I'll speak.
Okay.
I apologize, guys. This is gonna be a lot.
Just in 3
Y'all are
minutes.
gonna have to cut me off. Adam Galatio and everybody. Yeah, I didn't get a chance to time this, so 3048 Oaken Place. I know a lot of you. I've been around here for a long time. So this is about Flock. I don't think a lot of people understand what Flock is. It's not a camera system, it's software running AI recognition on all the people, vehicles, everything your national network video and audio sensors picks up to establish profiles in a database of movement history and real-time location tracking that can search by anyone with access to the system. It's really big. I should probably just skip all this. My beef is not AAPD with Flock. It's everyone else. You can FOIA a lot of records, and people have. I checked out a 729 search where we were one of 6,138 other networks searched. My concern is not AAPD, it's the other 6,137 networks out there that have access potentially to our system. There's the access we know about, and there's the access we don't. Flock has a documented history of lying to people. Flock gave DHS backdoor access to Washington State Police Department networks without their wishes or without their knowledge and against their wishes, so they canceled the contracts. There's Flock logins for sale on Russian hacker sites, though Flock maintains they've never been hacked. Technically could be true. A local guy named Ben Jordan got into their system through what's basically advanced Googling, and Flock maintains that was not a hack, which is accurate because it's not breaking in when the door is open. Ben's stuff is I shared is what one guy can publicly share without being sued or prosecuted. Imagine what an entity with more resources and less concern for US law can do with this system that's accessible in our town. Then there's Flock themselves. Dunwoody Dad found out a Flock employee accessed a camera in a kid's gymnastics studio against their agreement. Flock said it was a sales demo, except that guy only accessed one camera that day, which is a little weird. And then behind closed doors, Flock brought in a $100 million national political crisis management firm to meet with Dunwoody City staff. Then, of course, there's the 100+ cases of officers stalking their ex-partners, 20 of which were in Georgia. There's the Dunwoody search that I found for vehicle with a political bumper sticker. I can't imagine what legal circumstance that could be demonstrating. It's everyone else I'm worried about. The system is also horribly inaccurate. They advertise a 95% accuracy rate. With on 20 billion processes, that's 1 billion false identifications per month. I sent you guys a pretty long email. Sorry about that before this. They're also running predictive policing features now that flag people in vehicles on behavior their AI thinks is suspicious, weighting to match their behaviors to a crime. And again, so I'm not concerned with the AAPD, it's everyone else. Flock will tell us no one else can access our system, but they've repeatedly lied about this. There's lots out there. There's so much out there that I can't find articles I've found before because they are getting buried. All right, that's it, right? Yeah. All right.
Thank you, Adam.
Y'all got the email?
Yeah.
You read it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Yes. Sorry, I don't know your name.
Hello, my name is Gregory Hendler. I live at 712 Stratford Green. I am also commenting on Flock. I'm curious about the details of our current contract. In the transcript from the January meeting, when it was approved and talked about, it was described as a 2-year trial run contract to see whether or not this system works for us. That I believe would have been up in January of this year. I would like clarity on the current state of the contract, whether it has been expanded or extended, and whether those details were ever discussed publicly. Since that original 2-year contract, we've learned a lot more about the Flock system, Flock as a company. A lot of what I was going to say has been touched on here. I'll reiterate, my concern is not with the Avondale Police Department. I don't think any of us have any reason to think they have done anything untoward, but we're in the system and we know that this system has been used for the other purposes. Even during that initial presentation, some questions were raised about potential security concerns. They were dismissed, and the Flock representative said that the people using the system are too busy doing their jobs and only use it when they need it. We know now that is not true. There have been dozens of cases locally alone in which law enforcement officers have been caught using the system for nefarious purposes unlawfully. Some are still under investigation. Many have been arrested. Flock claims its goal is to eliminate crime. They want credit for any law enforcement success stories, but they show no accountability when the system is abused countless times. Successes are attributed to the system's power, but misuse is attributed to individual bad actors. Recently, the Flock CEO even implied that's actually a great thing that so many law enforcement officers are being caught abusing their system. Quote, I don't think Flock created police abuse. I think we're the first company to shine a light on it and build the tools to find it. So allegedly now, the purpose of Flock is to find police abuse by giving them the tools to be abusive. It doesn't make any sense, and they're taking no responsibility or ownership for creating the system and opening it up indiscriminately to everyone they can. There's a concept in systems design that says the purpose of a system is what it does. It does not matter what the original intentions of the Flock system are. Invasion of privacy is what it does. Many civil rights groups like the ACLU oppose them. Many other cities have already canceled contracts from Los Angeles, California, through as of yesterday, Asheville, North Carolina. Avondale should be a leader and join them in protecting our citizens' privacy. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Hi, Lizzie Boer, 712 Stratford Green, also speaking on Flock today and also during the working meeting later. So I urge the city of Avondale Estates to please take the concerns of the public to heart today. We are not merely reacting to social media posts. When we first signed our initial contract with Flock in 2024, the technology was new on the scene. In the years since, there have been shocking reports that expose the dangers of ALPRs as a tool of mass surveillance. In my letter to the editor, published in Decatur-ish last November, I outlined several concerning cases, including a Virginia resident who was tracked 849 times without cause, and cities, including Austin, Texas, and LA, canceling their contracts due to data privacy concerns. And most concerningly, a family held at gunpoint due to a Flock camera misreading their license plate number. Since that was published, even more disturbing stories have surfaced. Just this month, 8 DeKalb PD officers were suspended over misuse of ALPRs, and we are in DeKalb County. Security vulnerabilities have been presented to the company that they have failed to remedy, and cameras located inside of a children's gymnastics room in Dunwoody have been accessed for sales demo purposes. A woman in Florida spent 2 weeks in jail and 7 months in traumatizing legal limbo due to a mistake on the Flock data and officers putting their full trust in this technology. This is high-stakes stuff, and there's no room for error here. Earlier this year, Santa Cruz, California terminated their contract with Flock after reports that out-of-state agencies were accessing their city's data, despite assurances that this was not the case. I want to be clear, I am not accusing AEPD of misconduct, and there's no evidence of that, but we are connected to this entire network, and this company or any similar company, such as Axon, do not get to define safety. I believe that we protect our residents and visitors here by ensuring that when they are here, they will be safe from any ex-partner using our cameras and our data to track their whereabouts. Sadly, this is becoming a near weekly news event here in Georgia. We have had our trial run, and I believe that when we know better, we do better. And we know better now, and I'm happy to provide my sources for the cases I've used to inform my public comment. I will end with a quote from the ACLU. Literally, the only way to protect data from being misused is to not collect it at all. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening, everybody. My name is Kate Denny. I live at 37 Clarendon. And I appreciate the work that you do for us. You're part of our community. We voted for you so that you would represent us and do what we want. I think it's important that we remember that Chief Hess is gonna, tell us about how potentially Flock has helped us. But I think that we need to remember that we're self-governed. So whether Flock is saving us from a huge disaster, it's still our choice whether we have Flock or not. It's just basically as simple as informed consent, right? Like in the hospital, your doctor says, if you do this treatment, it'll save your life. If you don't do it, this is what's going to happen. You are allowed to choose. We are self-governed. We are allowed to choose. We're allowed to say no, even if it's helpful for us. And most of us who are, really educating ourselves on this do not think that it is helpful for us. But I appreciate that you recognize that we are self-governed and we can say no, even if our police in DeKalb County think it's in our best interest. We're in charge. We celebrate that as 100 years, right, of us being in charge of ourselves. We do have this opportunity to be the first state, the first city in the state of Georgia to say, we can make our own choices. We're all looking for that right now, for our leaders at every level to really represent us and to listen to our voices. And thankfully you do that. So thank you for that. And I hope that you continue to listen to us and what we want and allow us to make our own decisions for our own community.
Thank you. Jennifer online.
Hi, my name, oops. I don't know if you can see me. I can't make the camera work, but my name is Jennifer. I live at 402 Kensington Park Drive. I am urging you all to please reject these flock cameras. These systems create a searchable record of where private citizens travel, and the dangers are no longer hypothetical. As some others have pointed out, there are dozens of documented cases showing these automated license plate readers make mistakes, and then police act on that incorrect information. Innocent people have been stopped, searched, handcuffed, detained at gunpoint, and even jailed because a camera misread their license plate or incorrectly identified a vehicle. They were then forced to prove their innocence at the cost of their time, money, jobs, and dignity. The potential for deliberate abuse is equally disturbing. As others have said, we now know police officers, not Avondale police, but police officers nonetheless, have been using these databases to stalk former partners and other women. When we give the government power to track people's movements, we cannot simply assume that data will be used appropriately or that every automated match will be accurate. Public safety should not require tracking of private citizens and placing innocent people at risk. Once this surveillance network is built, it will be extremely difficult to undo. Please, please reject these flock cameras. We do not want to be a surveillance state where private citizens lose their privacy in the name of false safety. Avondale should reject this insanity. Thank you.
Thank you. Any others online? Okay. Any others in the audience? Yes, Paul.
Paul Dora, 820 Stratford Road. I'd like to speak to agenda item 10. This is the regular meeting. It says consideration of the project framework agreement for downtown Avondale multimodal improvement. I'm going to encourage you to read Appendix F as in Frank. The way I read that appendix, if you accept this, if you all pass this the way it is, that appendix says that Avondale reads the two things. One, not to be a sanctuary city. And two, more importantly, to agree to have our Avondale police force assist other enforcement agencies with the arrest of what are described as criminal aliens. My concern has to do with what's going on in our country with ICE. From a practical standpoint, I'd like to see you all consider amending the agreement to drop Appendix F entirely. If you read it closely, it really has nothing to do with the road project. The state of Georgia and Avondale are simply trying to build a road. The sanctuary city and especially having our police force assist with those arrests doesn't seem to be part of this project. I encourage you to drop Appendix F. Thank you.
Thank you, Paul.
You're welcome.
All right. No one online. No one online. Okay, any last call in the audience? Okay, seeing no comments, I'm going to bring it back up here. All right, so thank you for all your comments. All right, so we're going to move to item number 5. We have before us the August 12th, 2026 regular meeting minutes and the August 12th, 2026 work session minutes. Do I have a motion to engross?
So
That was Louis. Do I have a second?
second.
Mike, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right. Item number 6, presentation of fiscal year 2025 audit results from Malden and Jenkins. Mr. Manager, could you tee this up for us?
Yes, as we do every year following the annual audit process and the release of the annual comprehensive financial report. Josh Carroll with Malden and Jenkins, who is our independent auditing agency, is here to deliver a report regarding the results of the 2025 fiscal year audit. So Josh?
Thank you, Patrick. And can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, it goes, okay. And thanks to the mayor and the board for having me. As Patrick said, I'm gonna just kind of quickly go through a PowerPoint here to go over our results of the 2025 audit. This is kind of my agenda. I'm gonna go over our team, our opinion. I got a few financial trends, the results, and questions at the end. But if somebody has a question as I'm going, you can feel free to stop me as we're going along. Next slide. This is Malden and Jenkins. We've been around over 100 years now. We spend a lot of time and energy investing in state and local government audits. I spend my whole year doing nothing but counties and cities and development authorities and state agencies all over the Southeast. I don't do any tax work like a traditional CPA. I do government audits all year long. Everybody that works on your audit is in the same position. We also audit DeKalb County. We audit many of your neighbors, so we bring a lot of local knowledge to your audit as well. Next slide. The statements are the responsibility of the city's management. Our objective as your external auditors express an opinion. We followed all the generally accepted auditing standards, the government auditing standards, and we did issue an unmodified or a clean opinion, which is what you'd hope to receive from your annual audit. So as far as we're concerned, your statements are materially correct. Next slide. We also report on compliance and control. Got to come in and we look at really all your accounting cycles. We look at how you receipt cash, how you disperse cash, how you onboard and terminate an employee, contracts with vendors. We look at P-card transactions. We look at your spending of SPLOST dollars. I'm kind of go through everything. We look at your segregation of duties and how funds are flowing in and out of the city. And you have a clean opinion there. The city has pretty good segregation of duties. You also had a big grant program this year, highway planning and construction. We looked at those costs, compared them to the agreement. City did all the reporting requirements that come along with federal programs, and you got a clean opinion there as well. So all in all, really clean. This slide, if I was on the board, I think I'd want to know, do we have anything unusual or maybe aggressive in your accounting policies, or maybe our estimates or judgments in your statements? You don't. The policies are disclosed in the notes. They're very similar to a city of your size. Many of your neighbors have very, very similar, very common policies. And your only estimates are really your useful life of capital assets. Like, how long do we think a police car is going to last, or we're going to use it? We depreciate it over that life. We review those. We feel pretty good about them. And your actuary uses assumptions for your pension liability, which you're kind of in the GMA plan. Everybody is in that plan has the same assumptions. We kind of look at those. We feel pretty good about them. Next slide. We have a good relationship with management. It definitely takes the city. It's not just the auditors. It's a lot of work on the finance team of the city. We come in, we ask for a lot of information. Nothing seems hidden or covered up. We get everything we need, often more information than we ask for. So we really appreciate the city partnering with us to get the audit done and dedicating your resources to help us get it done. We didn't have any adjustments either. We get a trial balance. I know Brittany's no longer with us, but she gives us a trial balance and we audit it. We do our thing. We didn't have any adjustments. It's very clean. And I've worked with Tony Joe in the past, and I think you guys will be really pleased with her, and we'll be in the same place for the 2026 audit. And we are independent. We don't close the books. We don't post journal entries. We don't reconcile bank accounts. We just do the audit. So the clean opinion you have is not influenced by us kind of auditing our own work. Next slide. You skip this one. We'll go to the next one. So this is kind of my one financial trend. This is your general fund, which is the main operating fund of the city. And it shows your fund balance. Another word for fund balance is equity. And it kind of shows it as compared to your annual expenses and your transfers out to other funds. So kind of had a big dip down this year. And the purple there, I wrote, we transferred a lot of money to the capital fund. We just kind of moved it over there. So that fund's going to hold it and use it for whatever capital we budget to spend in the future. So that's the real reason for the big dip down. If we took that out, you still be at 53%. The GFOAs, the standard setting body for local government, they recommend 2 to 3 months as a minimum threshold. We don't want to see anybody go below that. That's 16 to 25%. So you're even double that even with the big transfer outs. You got a healthy fund balance. what we like to see. Next slide. So we do have two management comments. We don't have any findings. Findings make it into your actual audit report. These are just FYI, we came across them. They were here last year. They're kind of repeats, and the one is the payroll processor. You know, the company we use, they don't have a SOC 1 performed, and that creates some low level of risk. We have some procedures in place where we review their information, but just want to kind of continue to remind them that they don't have a SOC 1 performed, where it kind of walks through their controls and how they operate and how they do what they do. And the journal entries, you know, Brittany was still had the ability to post journal entries and approve them without kind of an independent segregation of duties. That's not a perfect world. It's a small finance department. That has trended down over the years. There used to be a whole bunch of them, but she does have an employee in there and there was some segregation, but sometimes she just had to get it done. So she posted entries. So kind of continue to highlight that, but nothing really huge concerning. It's a clean audit. You got good segregation of duties throughout the city, you know, cash coming in gets to the bank and there's checks and balances on the money going out the door, which is really what I think the board will be most concerned with. Next slide. And we are a full service CPA firm. We have a government advisory services group. They do a lot of projects in these 4 buckets here. They deal kind of operations. You know, the audit that I do is very financial in nature. And are we reporting the money right? Are we following GASB and following GAAP and following accrual basis of accounting? And they deal more with operations and kind of like the flow of funds and how are things flowing through the city? Why are we doing what we're doing? How does it align with maybe our own internal policies and maybe best practices? And how could we ultimately deliver more efficient services to the citizens of Avondale? So that is something we offer outside the scope of the audit. It's something the board is ever interested in hearing more about. I'd love to, you know, connect you with the partner that heads that up. It's not an audit. They're not CPAs. They don't do accounting. They do, like I said, it's just more operational and how we're doing and how the funds and everything are flowing through the city. So that is something we offer. Next slide. And we also have an IT group. They do a lot of cybersecurity assessments. They look at kind of like a gap analysis of what information do we have from, you know, our citizens or any vendors we work with, and how do we protect and keep that data, you know, safe, and what are we doing well? The world's ever changing. I usually use the slide as just kind of a reminder that we have information and the hackers are always out there. And I see this a lot. It's some of the largest governments we work with, and even some that are minuscule. So no one's too big or too small. So we just kind of remind our IT group to stay abreast of the changes. But we do have a group that deals with this if it's something you're interested in. It's outside the scope of the audit, but we'd love to help out. And then we can kind of skip to the end. These are GASB's busy, but we'll implement those as they come along. And that's really all I've got. It's a clean audit. And you know, like I said, we really appreciate the city partnering with us to get it done. It's a big task for y'all. And we do offer free CPE to all of our clients. Tony Joe will attend those. They're heavy government accounting basis, but anybody at the city's welcome to attend, and they are free. They're quarterly, they're virtual. You don't have to drive anywhere. You just do it on Zoom or Teams. And so appreciate the opportunity to work with y'all. And if there's questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Thank you. Great. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you.
I have none. Anybody?
Yeah, thank you,
Okay.
Steph, for
Awesome.
coming up with a clean audit.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Good job, guys.
Thank
Yes. Thank you. Okay. Any questions, comments
No.
up here regarding that? All right. Item number 7, Mr. Manager.
Yes, so tonight is the second read and or consideration for the 2026 fiscal year proposed budget amendments. Nothing has changed between the last read and this read, so it's still the same information. One thing I do want to bring to your attention, however, we're not ready to make a recommendation on a revision for this quite yet. But we have received the 30% engineered drawings for the Southwoods Stormwater and Dam Rehabilitation Project. The phase 1, if y'all recall, we began the engineering work for the phase 1, which is the west side of the Southwoods where the pipe was exposed. And that cost is projected lower than our maybe I should say within anticipated budget. Which will allow us to now move forward with the phase 2 design comfortably. We anticipate by the end of the year, we will have those completely engineered and ready for bid. At that time, we will be able to get a really good cost estimate for the project in its entirety. And so when we go through the 27 budget process and begin to adjust the capital program for that, I think we'll have an opportunity to reallocate some of the funds that were otherwise pledged for that project to other stormwater projects, which will probably also allow us to free up capital monies for other purposes. So that is good news. We're very excited that we're going to be able to move forward with that project in its entirety. Regarding the remainder of the consideration for you tonight, just kind of as a quick recap, we have revised the 26 budget for a kind of a reduction in property tax, anticipated property tax collections based on the final digest and the change in millage rate. We have also included the operating budget for 2026 centennial activities and made some changes to the capital program to reflect the inclusion of the Center Street Stormwater Project, the increase in the monies allocated for the improvements to the City Hall facility, and monies that were provided via donation thanks to Waffle House. If y'all have any additional questions, I'm happy to answer, but that's all of the information you have remains unchanged.
How much was that estimate that they gave us?
For phase 1,
Uh-huh.
$1.3 million.
What projects do we, out of this list, do we think we're actually gonna get done before the end of the year?
That it depends. Now, I want to remind you and the remainder of the board that the capital program is not a 1-year budget. That is a 2-year rolling program that continues to roll. It's like it's a living program. So, not all of those projects on the capital program are scheduled for completion this year. Not all of those projects that are on the program will be scheduled for completion next year. Some of those will roll into future years. Those are just the identified capital projects that we know of and potential funding sources allocated to those. Any of those projects to actually begin execution would require an additional appropriation via a contract from you guys. So y'all actually get a acute opportunity to make a decision about any of the projects that are listed within the capital program.
All right, any other questions up here?
Well, I would just like to make a comment. I feel like that we need a more cash flow basis for our capital projects reporting, so that we do see, most places do 3 to 5 years out, where we kind of project, and then, a more specific kind of information about where the revenue is coming from to pay those projects. Some of it's kind of wrapped into the balance. And so to me, it's not, it's just not clear enough as to what we are going to get done and when we're going to do it. And I would like to see that expanded.
All right. Other questions, comments?
Good.
Everybody good? All right, so Do I have a motion to approve an ordinance amending the budget for fiscal year 2026 for the city of Avondale Estates?
So moved.
That was Graham. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Mike. All in favor, say aye. All opposed?
Nay.
Oh.
And that is because there are some projects on there that I don't approve of, and also that I don't feel like I have a clear enough idea of the revenues coming through to support them.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Item number 8. We have talked about adopting a civility pledge for 2 meetings. I think 2. Yeah.
Yes, multiple meetings that has been discussed in the workshop.
And we have kind of settled on, for lack of a better word, 2 versions. So we agreed that we were just going to vote up or down on the 2. Any comments beforehand up here?
Well, I mean, I would like to make a motion that we pass the one that includes the final comment that the board recognizes that these principles are intended to establish the standards of professional conduct expected of city officials. Conduct inconsistent with these principles may be addressed by the board through its existing authority under the charter, city ordinance, personnel policies, employment agreements, and other ethical laws. That's what I would like to motion to approve.
Okay, that's version 2. So Commissioner Stebbins made a motion. Is there a second?
Is there a way to get clarification on the, because that's like, I apologize, just
Yes.
a further explanation on that.
Version 1 and version 2 are almost identical. Version 2 includes section 8 with the language that Commissioner Stedman just referenced.
Is there anything wrong with that?
Is there, can you explain section 8? Are you able to? As to what difference, I mean.
Materially,
Yes.
none. The language simply states or condenses or compiles a reaffirmation to follow your existing laws and policies.
But it's just a reaffirmation, correct?
That is correct.
So motion has been made. Got a second? Wait, it did not have a second.
It just reaffirms what the prior ones do. I mean, is there any difference?
There's no legal difference here.
I mean, if there's no legal difference, I mean, and we're reaffirming the previous points, I mean, I'm okay with the second.
Okay, so Mr. Smith has made a second. Okay, all in favor say aye.
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 All opposed say nay.
Nay.
All right, so that's 2-3. All right, so do I have a motion to approve version 1?
So moved.
That was Graham. Do I have a second?
Second,
That was Louis. Any comments, questions?
I'll make a comment.
Okay,
So the reason why I feel that the first one is more consistent with what it is, the civility of a civility, sorry,
Pledge?
it's because of this. Again, to me, the last bit, as I mentioned publicly before, just feels like a bit of a stick at the end. And it's for the purpose of this document as it's written, that's sort of not in the character of it, what it's trying to say. I felt like it was just trying to add something that wasn't in the spirit of what this document was intended to do.
any other comments?
Yes, I don't feel like that statement at all was a stick. It was simply a statement that we acknowledge that this is important and, that they're, you know, that we're assuring our residents that we take this, we take it seriously. I don't think there's anything there that would suggest that we are, you know, imposing anything on anybody.
Any others? All right, so I'd like to ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Was it 5?
Yes.
Okay. And none opposed. Okay, thank you. And I'm glad we have done that. Okay. So item number 9, was that the one? We could do a consent vote and vote this in first time, correct? Patrick? All right.
Correct.
Did you want to say anything before this? I mean, this is fairly straightforward.
Yeah, just briefly, to remind the board and the public that, every so often, the state, updates its regulation of stormwater discharge and requests, municipalities that reside within the state to update their local ordinance to reflect state law change. This is exactly what is being performed here.
Okay. We did talk about this before. This is just, as the manager said, this is a fairly straightforward thing. We basically have to adopt it to receive funding and some other stuff. So normally we do 2 reads on a change to the ordinance. This would be the first read. There would be a second one in 2 weeks. We did change the ordinance a couple of years ago to say that we can vote on the first read if we have a consent vote, and that consent vote has to be 5. It has to be unanimous. So do I have a motion to have a consent vote?
So moved.
That was Graham. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Louis. All in favor, say aye.
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 That's 5. Okay, now we are enabled to vote on this. We have before us an ordinance by the City of Avondale Estates to amend Chapter 11 of the Code of Ordinances, Health and Sanitation, to add new Section 11-12 entitled Private Decentralized Wastewater Systems Prohibited to Article 1 of said chapter for the purpose of prohibiting certain private wastewater systems within the City of Avondale Estates in accordance with the Metropolitan North Georgia Water Planning District requirements. Do I have a motion to approve?
So moved.
That was Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
That was Louis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 5. Thank you, everyone. Okay, now, item number 10, Mr. Manager, could you?
Yes, so as we discussed at the last work session, before you have the first of what will be 2 project framework agreements with GDOT for the purposes of receiving a federal award. Through GDOT, that award is for what we are calling our Downtown Shared Streets project to provide for multimodal improvements to our downtown road network. This framework is for the design phase of the project. You will have another framework for the construction phase. I did want to take this time to address the comment made by Mr. Doro during public comment. That is a legal requirement, that Exhibit F is a legal requirement from the state of Georgia to receive federal funds via GDOT. So if we were to not accept that project framework agreement, that means we could not accept the grant award.
Well,
and that would be problematic because then we would be essentially blacklisting ourselves all future transportation awards.
Well, each of them are voted on, correct?
What's that?
I mean, you're not just sort of blanket listed.
No, I mean, if we do not follow state of Georgia law, then we would no longer be eligible for these awards. I mean, we don't have a choice.
How much is this award?
In fact, it's over $3 million.
Mm-hmm. Is this being required of all municipalities?
Every single one.
And also the state law that was adopted, I think 2 years ago, essentially holds that if the state concludes that a municipality is a sanctuary city, then we will not receive any state funding. So it's not just this project or other projects that we would bid on.
Mhm.
Proposed for.
What's the timeline for this particular item and vote?
Now, I would highly advise y'all to follow the state law. I don't think we have any recourse, positive recourse by not doing so at all.
I've got something on another matter with this. So I see where it says the city is responsible for accomplishing the preliminary engineering work. Is that part of that 100,000 or is that additional funds?
So part of the grant award is for engineered design. Part of the grant award is for construction.
Yeah.
This project framework agreement covers the
design.
design piece. The match component throughout the entire award is the same. It's an 80-20 match component.
That wasn't what I asked, or don't think. Basically, it's saying here, and I don't know if it's kind of separating, it says that the city is responsible for accomplishing the preliminary engineering work. That's the $500,000.
That's correct.
Okay, and then our part of it is 100,000, which the DDA is paying for.
Correct.
And what happens if we go over on that 500,000?
If design costs more than that, I think we would certainly have to increase our contribution of local funds. We don't anticipate that to happen. Or we ask for more money, and every time that's true, every time we have run into that situation in the past, GDOT has provided additional funding to cover the gap.
All right, thank you.
Okay, so any other questions, comments?
Well, I would say, I appreciate Mr. Dora for bringing this up. It's frustrating, it's annoying that has to be shoved into these grant agreements. We've benefited from many grants, and as have other organizations and municipalities. But I do appreciate the sentiment in which it was brought up, and I feel like it was very frustrating. It, has the potential for making it look like we're complicit when really we're trying to, because the purpose of this multimodal improvement is to make two streets be less, vehicle friendly and more pedestrian friendly, make them, where make that part of our downtown feel like you can walk down the middle of the street, and the cars are the ones that have to be patient and wait for you to get by, or for the kid on their bike or the person walking their dog. So this is all meant to really do something for the healthy welfare and benefit of the residents. And it has that little thorn in it that makes you feel a little bit icky now. So if I vote to approve this, it in no way, and none of us, I believe, is meant to imply that we are think that's a nice way to do business with the state.
You're welcome. There's a simple solution that you'd like to hear it at some point that keeps Avondale where you can get the money and solve the problem. Okay.
I have to agree with Louis. I'm very disappointed that that's in the contract, but at the same time, we need state contracts to get things done in this city, and it's just unfortunate that we have to sign on to something that includes, something that we may not support in order to get money to improve our city.
And I agree as well. Well,
I just think this is something that's been decided from the state level, so, everybody can vote accordingly in their state elections as well.
it's true. All right, so I have read. Well, no, I haven't. Okay, so I haven't made a motion. So do I have a motion to approve a project framework agreement by and between Georgia Department of Transportation and City of Avondale Estates for transportation facility improvements?
So moved.
That was Mike. Do I have a second?
Second.
That's Louis. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
That's 5. All right. And the last item of business this evening, Mr. Manager, could you tee this up as well?
Yes, before you, as discussed at the last work session, is an easement agreement with the property owner at 732 Stratford Road. That typo transposition has now been fixed. This is for the purposes of allowing the city to perform work on private property to address an issue with its own stormwater system. The property owner has already agreed to the easement agreement that you have before you, and in order to complete that agreement, we would also need consideration from the board.
Thank you. Any questions, comments on this one? We did discuss this last time. Again, this is just sort of a, I wouldn't call it housekeeping, but close to it. We just need to get an easement so we can access our stormwater structure that's on someone else's property. So, questions, comments? Okay, do I have a motion to approve an easement agreement between Samuel Sundell, grantor, and the City of Avondale Estates, Georgia grantee municipal corporation?
So moved.
That's
Second.
Louis. Do I have a second?
Second.
Lida, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's 5. Thank you. All right, so that concludes our business for the evening. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That's Lida. Do I have a second? Second. That's Mike. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's 5. For those of you who haven't been to one of our meetings before, we're going to take a 10-minute break. We will reconvene down at the table for our work session. You are more than welcome to stay. That's just how we're running things now. So 10-minute break. It is, what time do you have? It's 6:22. We'll reconvene at 6:32. So thank you all. This is our work session. It's August 26, 2026. It's now 6:34. I'd like to call the meeting to order. We have an agenda before us to have a motion to adopt. So that was Graham, do I have a second? Second. Mike, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay. All right, the first item up for discussion. Item number 3, continued discussion of the amendment to the golf cart ordinance to allow crossing from South Avondale to Pine Street. Mr. Manager.
Yes. So we began this discussion at our last work session. In order for us to potentially obtain GDOT permission for a crossing to be constructed from South Avondale to Pine Street for the purposes of golf carts traveling across 278. We would have to amend our own ordinance prior to receiving that permission. If y'all recall, our discussion evolved from one where we were then beginning to talk about some other regulations within the golf cart ordinance that we might want to address, and decided to bring that back to work session. And so that's where we remain today.
And I may have been the primary person behind that. I'm concerned for just younger drivers, safely crossing the road and not creating a hazardous situation that could result in something bad. I guess really, I've been thinking about this a bit. Our current ordinance does allow a person who has a Georgia driver's license to drive a golf cart, correct? I would like us to consider changing it that to drive a golf cart, you gotta be 18.
And that, Stephen, just for purposes of moving the discussion forward, the state allows for local municipalities to increase the age at which eligibility occurs.
Right, with 18 being as low as we can go. Or
Right, it's
it's,
high.
yeah, it's high, I'm sorry. It's high as we can go.
Well, and I was talking to
Exactly.
someone after the meeting last week or 2 weeks ago, and it was a younger person, and they put it most succinctly that golf carts create the illusion of safety. And they are not as safe as a car. Cars are rigorously tested. We all see the commercials and hear about all that, and golf carts are different. I mean, they're meant to be on a golf cart, on a golf course, and I just feel like even though the state of Georgia says that a 16-year-old can drive a car on the interstate or cross country, I think that, I don't know, I just would like us to consider upping the age for golf cart drivers. Just perhaps there's a little more maturity there, a little more appreciation for safety and what can happen and how quickly things can go wrong. And, perhaps someone who's been driving a car for 2 years can appreciate that a little more, but I don't want to be overly paranoid. I just, not sure that all the 16-year-olds out there driving golf carts are really as sort of mindful of the hazard of driving that they should be. So that's it in a nutshell. Is just maybe some consideration up in the age on that one. It's not a concern for safety. I mean, it's just I'm not trying to penalize anyone. I don't want to assume anyone's. So
I'm sorry. I don't know.
whatever. No, you didn't. I just think a couple extra years might help prevent some driving that you otherwise wouldn't see. So, go.
That's okay. I just wanted to, these items that were highlighted in yellow, are those the only changes? Or are those the exact changes that we're making?
Yeah. Yes.
Well, in a rough draft form, I mean.
Yeah.
Once
Okay.
we get the more direction from the board, then I will take that rough draft and wordsmith it.
So
So we're thinking content right now rather than exact wording. If we have an exact wording, then.
So it says here that only 18 years or that you're older may register the vehicle.
16 can drive, right?
Right.
I thought I saw somewhere where it said only 18-year-olds cross the street. In a thing, but it just. It doesn't say that.
Just for my curiosity, I think the fact that. You know, before 278 was the highway concept, when it changed to the new complete street, is I thought golf carts were not allowed because of the speed limit.
That is one component.
Okay.
So, and not just the speed on 278, but also the speed on the road connecting, so South Avondale.
Okay.
That is another step in the permitting process from GDOT. To provide for this crossing would be a reduction in speed on South Avondale Road. Which would require a speed study to demonstrate that a reduction in speed on that road is even palatable or.
What is it now?
It's 30, correct? 35.
Oh, it's 35 on South Avenue? Yeah, everything has to, it is true.
Yeah, it has to go to
Okay.
30.
So any road that has motorized carts that can be no more than 30.
So in order for the crossing to be made.
Okay.
The speed, the highest rate of speed permitted on South Avondale Road has to be reduced from 35 to 30 because of the aforementioned dangers that the mayor has spoken.
So we have to go through a study before we could lower it to 30? Or could we just lower it to 30 if we?
No, GDOT has to
Okay.
allow us to reduce the speed in order to provide for this permit. So first step is amending the ordinance to provide for language allowing the crossing to be made. Next step would be to ensure that the speed of travel on South Avondale can be lowered to accommodate the crossing. And of course, we've already taken other steps to accommodate the crossing, such as making that intersection a protected intersection with lights and a designated crossing spot. There would also be a requirement to place signage at the location indicating that it is a golf cart crossing, and that would be the only place that we would allow for golf carts to cross 278. So there are several things that we would have to do in this process. This is just the first of those.
So North Avondale is 35, and South Avondale is the residential side. And it's 35 as well?
I think it's actually 30
Yeah,
and it
it
needs
is
to go
30.
to 25. Yes.
I'm okay with the crossing. It's taking this first step. And I'd consider, changing the age, but I think the bigger issue is educating people with golf carts. Like we can tell them all day long, they don't, you have to be 18 to drive something, the police can't really pull them over if they don't look 18 or don't look 16 or whatever. So it's like, and I know we can't legislate good behavior, but or good, ownership or whatever, but somehow, and I know the police department's been really trying to do this with registering the cars, having the golf cart rodeos and things like that, but somehow we have to figure out a way to reach every golf cart owner and, they'll, really figure out how to educate them on what you're supposed to do with these things, that they're not as safe as a car, that they're not as carefree as people think they are. So I mean, it's like, but the crossing, I think the road, if this was part of our plan to begin with. I think people with golf carts will welcome this. I want to bring some connectivity between the two sides of the road, which I'm always looking to do. The crossing, I don't have any issue with. I think it needs to be done absolutely with the GDOT specifications of that road scale. It's fine. I feel like most of the roads in the city are 25 already, so. And I think just, somehow figuring out how to teach our, not teach, I don't know what the right word is, but educate our golf cart owners that, you know, there are laws and you have to follow these laws. It's not okay to just.
And do you mind if I elaborate on something?
Sure.
Speaking to your point about, recognizing age. So in order for the police to, stop a golf cart user or engage a golf cart user in the course of them using the cart, there would have to be a moving violation in order to make that engagement. So we can't just profile. I just wanted to clarify that for you guys. So
So if someone was like noticeably like 10, like the police.
Unfortunately, no.
Okay.
You know, unfortunately, in this time and age, you have 12-year-olds that look like they're 21 and you have 20-year-olds that look like they're 12.
yeah.
And can't go off of solely, like I think Patrick said it best, we're profiling at that point, which is highly illegal. You have to have probable cause or reasonable articulable suspicion. And profiling does not fall into the reasonable articulable suspicion. So it would have to be a moving violation for us to conduct a legal interaction.
I'm not gonna cut speed. Go.
I hope not.
But I do, people do run stop sign.
No, that would be a moving violation that would allow for a stop.
I for one, I think, I'm initially, I would not be in favor of raising the age. I think golf carts are part of this neighborhood, and I think I'm more concerned about the e-bikes and how fast they go. There's kids that are 8, 9 years old that are going 40 miles an hour. And like these, I mean, the carts, I mean, if we can restrict it to a safe crossing, I think that's something that, you know, there's always inherent risk with everything, and pedestrians even, but I think, I don't know, I would not be in favor of raising that. I guess you know, if they can drive a car, they can drive a golf cart.
Now when they register now, do they get a decal or something to put on their vehicle? And are we having problems with people registering? I mean, or do we?
Actually, well, we've been able to capture a lot of unregistered golf carts the previous 2 years with our golf cart registration drives. So that is less of an issue than it was previously, and we'll continue to do that so that we don't have unregistered vehicles on our streets. Now, an unregistered cart, and I'll defer to Chief Hess on this, would potentially be a moving violation.
Potentially, yes. The only concern with that is we've kind of come up with a consistent place to put said sticker the last 2 years. Previous administration, previous wave stickers were put on, were all over the place, and with the aging stickers, we're finding more and more residents have reached out to Detective Powdrill about getting a new sticker because their old sticker is falling apart or falling off or weathered. She is working with those residents as a case by case basis. So we can more than likely, yes, if we see a golf cart moving and we can stop and make contact.
Can you state where the preferred spot was?
But moving forward, it's gonna be the driver's side rear, like quarter panel, either right on either front or rear, because the golf carts nowadays, they've got like basically no fender to the rear. Some of them do, some of them don't. So we're putting them on that driver's side rear tire fender area.
Well, I don't know if I have any trouble with the 18-year-old requirement, because I wish they changed that with driver's license. My granddaughter's gonna be 16 next June, and I'm horrified. The thought of her driving around in Atlanta.
No, it's,
Well, crossing is the part that I'm most looking forward to. And the fact that we've got, new residences, single family residences, et cetera, being built. On this side, it's a way to promote connectivity. It's a way to promote sort of ease. I mean, there is definitely something nice about putting children in a golf cart, driving to their school, dropping them off. It's a lovely thing, and you don't get to do that in many places. And I would hate to have some people have the ability to do that and others not. Now, I know that still exists. I know there's other parts that can't do that, but at least there is a part here that hopefully will be able to.
and just to be clear, I'm all for the crossing, I think it's great. I think it'll be just an expansion of that specialness that, we enjoy. I'm all for that. I'm just, as I said before, I was not the most careful 16-year-old driver, so. Yeah. Well, okay, so we're all okay with the crossing itself. Is there any appetite for up in age? Straw vote. You're not, it doesn't matter either way. And,
You can drive a car.
okay, all right, so we'll drop that. So what's next?
So based on that direction, the only amendment that we will propose to you guys via ordinance is for the crossing. So that will be brought forward to you at the next regular meeting for first read.
Right, first reading. Okay.
And I'll say one more time, like, I think that doing this, I think will be a good opportunity to teach people just number one, where that crossing's gonna be. It's not every crossing, It's not big.
Well, I think that
There's gonna be signs.
yeah, I think the
Yeah.
important thing though is you cross, you don't
You don't
get on two
turn.
seventy-eight.
Yeah, exactly.
And that's gonna be,
That's not gonna be, that's always gonna be not allowed. right?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, no travel on the highway.
Curious, I know we have, that this is discussion about crossing on that side, but I mean, is there even access to the downtown area from like, say, the other side of Avondale? Like,
You mean here, down here? For a golf cart? No, because it's not protected with signaling. Yeah.
Is there a theoretical possibility that when that rest of the road from here to Kensington Station gets upgraded, that whatever could occur theoretically? If there was a will to make it to. design it
I don't want to weigh in on that without good information. So I'll try and seek that information for you guys, but I don't have it right now.
when you drive, would you be able to drive around this neighborhood back here?
Yes. Yeah, so once
How
you,
would you get?
if you would cross, so if you cross
Down there.
278 down there,
Right,
and that would allow for you to drive your golf cart on any of the interior roads here. So theoretically,
But you couldn't cross at Laredo.
you mean like across Clarendon?
Cross Laredo or Clarendon.
you'd have to cross Laredo to get over here.
I mean, yes, well, you'd have to cross Clarendon.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But there's
You're right, you're right.
but you can go right into Laredo too, out where Center Street curves.
well, you can already do that.
Yeah,
Well, I'm saying if you wanted to get from the area across Clarendon over to this side,
okay.
I don't have a good knowledge of the allowance for crossing Clarendon. We really haven't discussed that, but
Well, you can drive down that end of Clarendon, why can't you drive over there this end of Clarendon?
Yeah, I think this intersection was awful here at 278,
Right.
way too wide, too much traffic. I mean, there were lots of constraints around crossings that intersection did not.
Right.
so we'll have those discussions and talk about the Clarendon cross, if that's even possible. So it could be that you are limited to staying on the west side of Clarendon, in the downtown. Of course, unless you own a home on the east side of Clarendon and you're not crossing over Clarendon. So-
Yeah, that was kind of my, like the residents that kind of live, I mean. Just it crossed my mind. It's like
That
they
little
might,
pocket over here.
Mhm.
yeah, and then the people that live over by the. Like that are in Avondale.
Across the border tracks.
Yeah, where the
That's awesome.
townhomes are.
Townhomes and then.
There's another
Isn't there another part of Avondale
Uh-huh.
that,
Yeah,
like
it's a
the,
14.
like where the elementary school?
That's actually, well, AES right down there? Or are you talking about the,
DSA elementary school, is that part of Avondale?
that is not.
That is not, but there is a pocket of homes back there, the Windsor area.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanna make sure, if we're looking down the road, maybe providing access.
Currently, we do not have any provision unless it's otherwise already legal for persons who live on the north side of 278 east of Clarendon to cross Clarendon over into the west side of the downtown. Okay.
All right, so, again, first read will be at the. What's the date?
September 9th.
At the September 9th meeting. Good. All right, next item, item number 4, review of an easement agreement with Maple 278 Ventures for temporary construction staging and landscaping in the alley at 102 Olive Street.
Yes. So as we've encountered in the past, there is a series of alleys that exist in the downtown. Some of those are actually private. Some of those are publicly owned. The Avila Hedgewood team has identified a small portion of the alley that was immediately to the north of one of the properties they purchased, which we refer to as the Rorick property. It's that vacant corner property, as an alley that they would like to be able to use for 2 purposes. One is during their construction to be able to use that alleyway to transport materials. And then the other is to, once they have completed construction, to be able to nicely landscape that alleyway in order to create an inviting area. Now, that alleyway is really small. If y'all are familiar with that lot.
Where is it?
So that lot is on the corner of Olive and 278.
Oh,
So it's on the west corner of Olive. It was just kind of a tiny property.
is it next to,
We have it now, it's in the pack.
oh,
Yeah. The exhibit B.
which item? Work session item. Okay.
Number 4.
It's other side of the street from Waffle House.
Okay.
You will see what he's talking about. Go past the blank pages.
Hmm.
So that's all. It's a little skinny thing
Okay.
There you go.
right next to.
Like, little cottages down there.
That's what I was
Yeah.
thinking.
Right, it's immediately south of the building known as 120 Olive that houses Little Cottage.
Okay.
There's an alley there.
They're not developed alleys.
Yeah.
They are just identified as alleys. And again, we check these on a case-by-case basis as development concerns arise. Because what we found is there's no real consistency of ownership. Some of those alleyways go with the deed to the private property. Some of those alleyways are excluded from the deed and are public.
In this case, have the people that own that building been told about it?
They don't have any ownership of that.
I know they don't, but I mean, as far as that it will be used that way, just, informing them of.
I don't know the answer to that question. I mean, I doubt they would care, given the fact that if the whole entire property was utilized as a for construction easement on 278. If y'all recall, we had some laydown of that property. I don't think it affects their ingress and egress. And the alley exists on the Avalon property. It's just a public portion of that property. So the adjacent neighbor doesn't have any right.
I understand. I was just talking about, them being aware that it's gonna happen.
So. Any other questions or, so this will be something we vote on September 9th.
Correct.
Everybody okay with that? Okay, item number 5, presentation by Chief Hess, but I'd like to start over here with Mr. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So we're making this presentation to the board tonight, mostly because of increased discussion about Flock Safety Company, not only locally, but at the national level. And I think we've all had internal conversations about our use of flock safety equipment, and realize there are very valid concerns about potential abuse of the system that not only our residents have, but persons throughout the country. And not only that, but as most large topics of discussion result in, there is, some misinformation we've identified in discussions that perhaps we could speak to clarify what type of equipment we have and what we use it for. I realize that may not matter to some folks. And again, I very much empathize with the concern about flock safety and the products that they provide. I think we are very aware of some of the very real pitfalls of the system. But for the purposes of encouraging further discussion and inviting our residents to participate in that discussion, we felt it appropriate at this time to go ahead and have Chief Hess make a presentation about Avondale Estates Flock Safety Program so that we can help move that discussion in whatever way it evolves. So without further ado, I'll hand it over to the Chief Hess, and he can walk us through the Avondale Estates Flock Safety Program.
All right. So good evening. I'd like to reiterate what Patrick said is, I've heard residents, I've heard concerns that hopefully, I can't control how you feel, but I think education plays a big factor. So basically what we're gonna do is go over basic background of Flock Safety Corporation, the technology and the policies that I have adopted for the Avondale Estates Police Department. Please keep in mind that when I'm speaking about policies and how we use the system, I am only speaking about how Avondale Estates Police Department utilizes this system and how it benefits our city. I cannot speak to other agencies. I cannot speak to other administrators or their policies in any way, shape, or form. And law enforcement policies are not cookie cutter by any means whatsoever. And I've got experience with that. So hopefully I can educate y'all a little bit and answer some questions. See if this works. It does. All right. So Flock Safety is a public safety technology platform that helps law enforcement investigate crimes by providing information captured on their devices associated with incidents. Moving forward, Flock offers, and if you guys don't mind, I'm just going to refer to it as Flock instead of Flock Safety moving forward. They offer several different options. And to clarify what we use, the first is the license plate readers are often referred to as automated license plate readers or ALPRs. We use this system. We also use the software behind the ALPR system, and that is it. Do not use their mobile security trailers. We do not use their gunshot or gunshot detection software or devices. We do not use their drones, and we do not use their pan, tilt, zoom, or CCTV camera systems in any way, shape, or form. We do not subscribe to any of the extra software that would have to be enabled to be able to use this system, nor do we have any of their devices other than the ALPR systems. The Flock Falcon ALPR is the only device that we use, as I stated previously. Basically, an ALPR camera captures photos of the rear of a vehicle, their license plates, records the location, date, time the photo was taken. The vehicle license plate is listed as stolen, linked to other criminal activities, wanted or missing persons. An alert will be sent out to AEPD staff who are logged in via the software, via a desktop software or a mobile application. So common concerns and questions that are I've heard recently, what does ALPR detect? It detects vehicles and license plates. It does not detect people. It does not record people. It's only vehicles and license plates. What does it not detect? Once again, people, gender, race, or any type of facial recognition software built into our system. How many ALPRs do we have? We currently have 10, and we have 10 cameras in 10 separate locations. We do not have any cameras that are multiple cameras at one location. Just to clarify, because I know some people have asked me about that. Our 10 cameras are in 10 different locations spread out through the city. The data retention is 30 days on a rolling basis. What that means is that it's not at the end of the month, all the data. So once 30-day hits on that date and time, that data is permanently erased, which I'll get kind of more into here in a minute. Okay. Federal sharing and safeguards. Flock does not contract with federal agencies such as ICE or DHS. And I'll go a little bit more into data sharing in a few minutes too. Data resale. Flock does not sell LPR data privately. And the Flock ALPR systems are not connected to DDS or DMV softwares. They're only connected through portals for GCIC and NCIC, which is Georgia Criminal Information Center, as well as the National Criminal Information Center. So when we're talking about the data, what kind of data is collected by the ALPR? It's a license plate tech. Oh, sorry, I forgot to hit. That's my fault. It's a license plate text. It's the date and time the image was captured or when the vehicle passed that camera. Camera location that captured the image, and basic vehicle attributes such as make, model, and color. That is all it collects. Tracking a vehicle. Flock does not have the capabilities to physically track a vehicle. The ALPR system does not track a vehicle. It's a moment in time at a specific location. So your vehicle passes a fixed location. It captures the image. It doesn't know if you went up to the next street and turned right, left. The only way we can see that is when you pass the next Flock camera, if you pass another Flock camera. It cannot detect after that image. It does not detect if you turn down the next street, went 3 streets forward, or turned left or right. It only is capturing. Think about it as a moment in time, like I stated. One location with a date and a time. That is it. Once you pass the camera, AEPD and Flock have no idea what your route is. I'm going to use this as an example. We had an incident earlier this week where after the crime occurred, the vehicle fled the location, did not pass a single one of our Flock cameras. Did not hit a single Flock camera throughout DeKalb County. It only hit a camera in Hapeville, Georgia. And that's where we're able to kind of bring the case to a closure, so to speak. So to give you an example, from here to Hateville is approximately 15-20 miles. Did not pass a single flock camera from Avondale Estates until it hit a camera in Hateville. So I know the news has been reporting on Senator John Albert's task force lately. I want to bring that up. He's to increase oversight with ALPRs. The partners, which I think is very important to be aware of, is the Georgia Sheriff's Association, as well as the Georgia Association of Chiefs of Police, which I'm currently the 3rd vice president of. Because of that, I will be heavily involved with the Senator Albert's task force moving forward. We actually have meetings scheduled, and I will be attending those meetings. So the idea is to figure out what, if any, oversight needs to be legislated, best practices, sample policies for law enforcement agencies throughout the state. Those are just some of the things that we are specifically looking at and addressing some of the concerns coming from our legislators at the Capitol as well, to specifically address those in the state of Georgia. So that will be more to come as time goes on. So again, I want to reiterate the policy for Avondale Estates Police Department is only our policy. I cannot control or dictate other agency policies in any way, shape, or form. Pulling out of our ALPR policy, I just wanted to highlight some things. Considering operation is used for official law enforcement business only. Officers must complete training on the system and review the policy and training on the policy prior to being issued any type of credentials to utilize the Flock ALPR system. The data retention is specifically mentioned in our policy with a 30-day rolling basis. After 30 days, it's important to know that once it's deleted, it cannot be recovered for any reason whatsoever by any of my staff, my agency, another agency, or the vendor themselves. It is completely hard wiped from the system. So that 30 days expires. If we get information on day 31 that a vehicle may have hit one of our cameras and it's day 31, we can't even search it. It's not going to give us any information on that, regardless of what it's involved in. It could be a homicide. There's no way for me to pull that stuff out. Accountability. I think this is very important. And I want to highlight something. Deputy Chief Branch actually leads this on a weekly basis. We conduct audits of our officers and how they're using the system. And I want to get into the audit basis factors in a minute. And also important to note that they're single user logins. They're specific to one user and they're multi-authentication logins. So if an employee leaves on their last day, we take them out of the system. If logins are appearing on the web, they may be more than likely they're not good logins. Can't confirm or deny that, but it's up to the agency and the administrators to ensure that if an employee is no longer an employee, they should not have access to it. And we do that as employees leave. Luckily, we haven't had to deal with any employees leaving. So, all right. So we have adopted a 3-tier search access for the city of Avondale Estates Police Department. On tier 1, I'm behind here again. I'm sorry. Tier 1 is absolutely no search access within the database. That includes our line level officers, which account for 6 of our staff. Myself and Deputy Chief Branch do not have searchability factors. The reason why we do not is Deputy Chief Branch and myself are over the audits. And for transparency reasons, how are we supposed to officially and truthfully audit ourselves if we have searchability? We don't need it at our level, and we're conducting audits, so we've removed ourselves from being able to search Flock for any reason. On tier 2, it's in state of Georgia searches only. Those are assigned to our 4 patrol sergeants that run a shift, our 4 shifts within the police department. And then tier 3 is a full search access, which only our 2 detectives, the sergeant in CID, as well as our 1 detective, have full access to that, which again they're logged and audited on a weekly basis. So some additional safeguards. I want to reiterate that our staff receives training on the system. They receive electronic training, web training, as well as when they're in their field training program, they are given real world training by their field training officers. And they're also trained on the policies. Additionally, the policies are electronically acknowledged and logged for accountability. So the officer says they've read the policy, they understand the policy, they can't come back and say, I didn't know I couldn't do that. So that's another level of safeguard. When conducting searches within the system, any of our staff that has search capabilities are required to put in the case or CAD number. A CAD number is generated by DeKalb County E911. You call 911, they're dispatching a call, it's given a CAD number. Not every call generates a report. So sometimes a CAD number can be used instead of a case number. The criminal offense being investigated, it also logs the date, the time, the officer's name, what type of device they were on, and that all pulls up in our audit logs as we do those weekly audits as well.
And they can't search anything without case ID.
That they have to have a case or a CAD number. And let me use, some people may ask, why would we search without a case number? Prime example is DeKalb County. Just an example, DeKalb County PD puts out a be on the lookout on a stolen vehicle that was last seen in the area of Memorial and Covington Highway. Okay, because of the proximity, the officer may want to search and make sure that they didn't get a delayed hit, or maybe ensure that it's not coming in the city. They can put the CAD number, which then Deputy Chief, because we didn't generate a case or case report, they can put the CAD number in.
Did they get from DeKalb County?
That they get from DeKalb County, because it's a DeKalb County call that we're assisting on. Similarly, a missing person vehicle be broadcast. A lot of times the Amber Alert or a Maddie's call gets put out, there's a vehicle associated with it. Our officers may log in, put a reference, and search and see if it's been hitting up in our area, if they have reason to do that. Kind of dig into the audit process and what we look at. We look at the frequency of staff, an individual staff member runs a tag number. Additionally, we look at the frequency of tag numbers run by all staff. That may be a red flag also. Ensure vehicle that is associated with, we also ensure the vehicle associated with case or CAD number that we are conducting the audit on. Ensure the criminal offense is being investigated as logged, and confirm the vehicle is linked to the case or CAD. We have had to dig into some things that kind of raised our spidey senses, but they were directly correlated to a report, a case, a CAD number, which was completely justified by investigation. One example of that was one of our tags off of one of our marked patrol cars was stolen 2 months ago. Well, that tag number showed multiple entries by multiple officers over multiple days, because what they were doing was when they would come into shift, they would log in, because we want to try to find how and why the government tag was stolen. Can't tell you why, doesn't make sense. But that audit came up as a red flag for us, because we were seeing the government tag being run by multiple staff members, multiple times by each member, because what they were doing was they were logging in and they were running that tag when they started their shift to see if it popped up on any of the flock cameras in our area, to make sure it wasn't being used on a fraudulent vehicle or anything like that. Let's see. So an alert, I mentioned alerts earlier, where the tag, whatever it may be, actually alerts one of our staff members. I want to stress the importance of this, because this is also, it may cover some of the concerns of officers taking action that the information was wrong. Our staff, the information sent to an officer being alert includes a photo of the rear of the vehicle, license plate, the location, date, and timestamps. An alert tone, this is important, alert alone is not reasonable suspicion to stop a vehicle. we have to take that alert one couple steps further. Our officers must visually verify the plate and the vehicle from the alert is correct. I think someone may have brought it up earlier. An 8 may come up as a B in flock. Well, that means that stolen vehicle is not that tag. They have to visually verify that tag, confirm that tag matches the alert. In addition to that, the officers must verify the hit via their in-car computer and or DeKalb County Dispatch. So what that means is stolen license plate coming through our city, ABC 123, alert. Officer Deputy Chief Branch gets behind it. He can't just turn on his blue lights. He's gonna get on his radio, the DeKalb County E911, and tell them, run this tag. I'm getting a flock alert for a stolen vehicle, ABC 123. Give it a minute or two, DeKalb County Police is gonna come back and say, that is confirmed, it is a stolen vehicle. Now we have articulable, reasonable, probable cause to conduct a traffic stop on that vehicle. Or, which has happened, negative, that vehicle is not stolen. Guess what? We don't do anything. So there are multi-levels that we require our officers and our staff to do before taking actions. The alert alone is not enough reason to take law enforcement action. We need to visually verify, confirm the alert is being active and valid. And that's the most important thing, because a stolen vehicle may have been recovered and for whatever reason, it hasn't hit updated in the flock system. So we want real-time information to confirm everything. Moving on to some of the data concerns, Freedom of Information Act, capture license plate data by law enforcement agencies shall not be subject to public disclosure. That's in Georgia law 35-122 subsection F. That 35-122 addresses all license plate data, ALPRs, LPR data for Georgia law. Captured license plate data means global positioning, device coordinates, date, time, photograph, license plate number, any other data captured or derived from the automatic license recognition system or any way or any other source. That's 35-122 subsection A2. That's important to know because basically that says anything coming out of the flock system is not subject to open records. We do not release ALPR data under Freedom of Information Act or Open Records Act. So we don't, whatever that flock system is capturing, we get a request for that, we will not release it to the public in any way, shape, or form. Nor will we release it to an agency that is not a subscriber to Flock for any reason. So what that means is jump back to what I was saying, that Flock does not contract with federal agencies. Okay. Digging a little bit deeper in the data. Once again, I really think I want to hammer this home that the data is only retained for 30 days on a rolling basis. Once it's gone, it's gone. It's gone forever. After 30 days, no one can retrieve it, to include my agency, my staff, Flock, or any other agency that may have access to the data. This information can be accessed by law enforcement for law enforcement, I put parentheses, investigative purposes only. That is what's getting officers in trouble, not law enforcement purposes. Agency sharing. I will admit, sorry, go ahead.
You have to put a case number in.
Yes.
So if you don't put a case number in.
It won't even let you search.
Okay.
We've added that within our system in the search parameters. We require it. So thus you have to put something in. So even if one of my staff wanted to say, I'll just make up a case number or whatever, that's gonna be a red flag in a heartbeat. It's just not gonna correlate with anything we have.
But do you have, so the cab, when they send their alert, they would send you their case number or CAD number?
We would do the CAD number. If the cab was passing along information that someone was seen in our jurisdiction, headed to our jurisdiction, maybe have reason to believe that an endangered person or a Maddie's or Amber call was coming towards our jurisdiction, obviously, if we have that CAD number, we want to stay on top of it and see where it is. If it's hitting on any camera, and going back to that previous example, you can get from Avondale to Hayville, not hit a single Flock camera. But yeah, they would have to enter something. The agency sharing, within the flock system, law enforcement agencies that are contracted under flock can request and grant access to other agencies to share our data. And by data, what I mean is the searchability of a vehicle, location, a time, and a day. All requests have to be approved by myself and solely. So we do share it with local agencies. We do share it with agencies throughout the US, but there's reason for it and it's successful. It really is.
So you actually give them access to search our data.
Within reason. I have capabilities to restrict hot list. I can have capabilities to do search only. I have capabilities. Generally, agencies, when we share our data, it is searchability only. And that's because, again, we got the hit from Hateville. We share our system with Hateville PD, going back to the incident from earlier this week. Hateville reciprocates that, shares it with us, and we were able to get that tag.
And then is it turned off or terminated after?
No,
So they always have access.
Yes, ma'am. Until I go in and physically remove them.
Do you
Do I?
physically remove
Oh.
them after you?
No, I have not had a case where I needed to, I felt like it needed to be removed. And going back to, and we'll get into some success stories here in just a second. The sharing is reciprocated and I can only control my staff. I understand some of the concerns that come along with that. But you start cutting off partners because of one person. I think it's more detrimental to the investigative tool that it actually has to offer to us, which has paid huge dividends for our city. And obviously being a smaller city, I've been able to get more involved in this. And that's what I want to be, is more involved with our policy decisions and how we're operating and everything else. You know, if a circumstance did arise, obviously I would consider it. I would take action if I felt like it needed to be. Currently, I just haven't controlled that.
So would you grant that access to one user or the whole agency?
It's the agency, and then the agency then has the ability to restrict what their staff or who, similar to my tier 3 tiers. So we can share it, but my line level officers and Deputy Chief Branch and I cannot search Monroe, Georgia. We cannot search anywhere. We can't even search our own cameras. So in a lot of agencies, I have a feeling the discussion within law enforcement is looking at the restriction. Who has the rights to search and what do those rights look like? And, you know, I feel like we were kind of got ahead of the curve and tiered it off into that. And I think I had the reason to do it and it makes sense for us. Let's see where we at. All right, so the contract with Flock, signed January 2024. Multi-year contract to provide 10 of the Falcons automated license plate readers. The cameras were placed along Highway 278 within the residential area and along surface streets. Basically, the idea was to strategically place them where I can see who's coming into the city. My concern are the criminal activities, the individuals that are, you know, that we would get alert from naturally, that the vehicle is associated with a crime already, stolen, wanted individuals coming into the city that obviously I want to protect our citizens. That's the whole idea. So most of the cameras are coming into the city along 278 with, I believe it was 2 in the residential areas and 1 on the north side of 278. Last but not least, not trying to sell anyone on anything, but I think it's very important to hit where these were, the cameras provided us resources that we were able to close some cases that if we didn't have it, those cases would be sitting in limbo right now. Victims would not have closure or anything else. To me, the big two things are the first two. We had 2 residents of Avondale Estates with diminished mental capacity were reported missing on two separate incidents, two separate people. One was located in Dawsonville, Georgia, because of flock. We share our cameras with Dawsonville. As soon as the person was reported missing, used flock, search for that tag and that vehicle they were last seen in. It was hitting all up 75 into Dawsonville. Dawsonville, we were able to locate it with the sheriff's department and return that residence home safely. One that was a little bit more recent, an individual had been not seen for about a week or two. A resident called in. The vehicle was located in a small town in North Carolina. Additionally, the resident was found wandering in the woods on the brink of hypothermia. Flock, I'm not saying, I'm not going to say the what if game because there's no way to predict the future, but that one really hit home because we located the vehicle. The deputies set out a search area up in North Carolina and found this individual wandering in the woods. What would have happened if 12, 24, 48 hours would have passed? You just don't know. We had a robbery where all we had was a color, make, and model of the vehicle. We were able to locate that vehicle in East Point. And additionally, that we were able to identify the suspects, make an arrest, and those suspects were tied to additional robberies in East Point, Atlanta, and South Fulton. Entering auto suspects and attempted entering auto suspects, these are numerous for us, where if we only have a description of a vehicle or a neighbor's Ring camera that doesn't capture the tag, but gives me a yellow Chevy Camaro, plug that in there, start doing our searches. And this is detectives doing these searches. Sure enough, that vehicle hit. Recently, we were able to identify a vehicle within 24 hours with assistance with the cab over on Columbia, stop the vehicle, arrest the suspect, and the cab has tied them to almost 50 or 60 additional entering autos the night they hit two of our residents. So reoccurring criminal activity. And then theft, damage to property, where the Ring camera of the resident, captured the vehicle, again, make, model. We're able to track them down, effect an arrest in a short amount of time to where that individual couldn't come back or the victim had closure, so on and so forth. These are just a few. I could go on and on for hours with some of the success stories that we've had because of flock. And these are success stories that it's not taken away from the boots on the ground with the detectives doing the investigative work. They're still doing the investigative work, still have to go in front of a judge. But this is a tool that they're now using that we're able to link criminal activity across jurisdictional boundaries, solve cases in fractions of times without this system could potentially limbo for years with no workable leads. But again,
okay, so now that we've learned about the program itself, I wanted to talk about the contract just briefly. The way it worked was that we entered into essentially a 4-year contract with Flock Safety with an opt-out after 2 years, which we chose not to do because of its success. The way it works is you're essentially leasing the equipment. So we have 10 cameras. To lease each one of those cameras over a year's period is $3,000
Per camera.
per camera. Correct. So it's a $30,000 lease deal a year. Our contract expires in 2028, the first quarter of 2028. So that would be our opportunity to either continue to lease the product and enter into a new contract or to remove the product without penalty. Now, I have noticed just reading news stories from across the country that cities are terminating the contract during the contract period. And some of those cities are paying the remainder of the contract, and some of those cities are arguing breach of contract in order to not pay the remaining value of that contract. I can't speak to whether or not we would be potentially successful in removing ourselves from the financial burden if we were to terminate that contract early. Depends on, you know, what that decision would look like, what the discussions with Flock itself would be, whether we take legal action or anything like that. So essentially, we go ahead and pay for that annual lease rate early in the year. So from a financial standpoint, we are currently 3/4 of the way done with the contract. Let's just say you decided that you no longer want to be associated with Flock and you wanted to terminate that contract effective immediately. If we weren't able to reach an agreement with Flock or take successful legal action, we would owe $30,000 to fulfill the terms of that contract. Plus lose the back third of the value that we've already spent for the contract to date this year. Now we did not bring this to you in order to necessarily engage in a discussion about whether or not to continue the use of the Flock safety program. We didn't want to necessarily make that assumption. We just wanted to start the conversation by informing you and the general public how we use the program. And really to also make it very clear that we very much understand the concerns of the general public, any concerns you may have, and the potential pitfalls that are associated with the product. Like Chief has said, there is no way currently to address how another agency or the members of that agency would use the product if we allow them to access the product and they are a Flock subscribing agency. Those are some of the things that Chief Hess will be involved in discussing with Senator Albers and the potential formation of this task force in order to provide a regulatory framework that has teeth to it. We're not there yet. I do believe there's a meeting tomorrow to begin that discussion, correct? That's where we stand contractually. Obviously, I think, if a regulatory framework existed to remove the concerns that we in fact have about other abuse by other potential agencies who subscribe, that would allay a lot of our concerns. However, we're, to be candid, we're not there yet. And you have seen localized abuse. I mean, Chief Hess, we discussed the, DeKalb had to place multiple officers on leave for unauthorized searches. This happens in other jurisdictions. It hasn't happened here. Of course, the way we try and guard against that is with our weekly audit program, knowing that, if somebody were to violate the policy that we have in place and that they have signed to adhere to, that they would be subject to serious disciplinary action. That is the proactive approach we're taking. We realize we can't ensure other agencies are taking that proactive approach. That's why we are participating in creating a regulatory framework to ensure that happens, at least across the state of Georgia. Like a resident stated earlier, this technology is still very new. Our use of it is new. A lot of use by other cities, not only in DeKalb County, but the state of Georgia and nationwide are new. We are unfortunately in a kind of learn as you go process from a legal standpoint about how we address some of these concerns. But that being said, I think it is important for us to continue having this discussion with the public, having this discussion amongst ourselves, to weigh, you know, the pros versus the cons, to understand, you know, what value we want to place on being able to close cases and make arrests that we wouldn't otherwise be able to with the use of the system versus, you know, potential, you know, privacy value lost by residents who live here. So I think that's the conversation. We're very much open to it, and you know, want to be as transparent as humanly possible with our residents and, you know, visitors to this city. You know, not just our residents are affected. It's anyone who travels through here. Really, it's anyone who travels through DeKalb County, because if y'all recall, and I think Graham and Mike have just joined the council when we began considering this, was that you know, we at that time we actually existed as a whole in the system, where you know, other law enforcement agencies around us already had the system installed. We didn't, so there was kind of a loss of investigative capability as vehicles entered and exited Avondale Estates. So that's why we brought this to you all tonight. We want to, you know, make sure that the public understands that we get where a lot of their concerns are coming from. We want to have an open, honest discussion about it. That's led us to this point.
You said it's $3K per camera. Do we have any software maintenance expense or data storage?
So we had the contract, we had an installation expense when we first contracted the equipment, but the entirety of the program is built into each camera. So $3,000 per camera includes the use of the software in order to, you know, execute searches for
Okay.
the data.
So am I understanding that this is not video? This is like, it's taking pictures, not like.
They are snapshots in time. So like Chief have said, they are location, date, and time specific and stamped to that effect. And the cameras that we have, and of course Flock offers different products, but the cameras that we have takes pictures of the rear of vehicles only.
And we have a specific vendor that we work through, or?
It's Flock.
It is Flock.
Yeah,
Okay.
Flock, this is their product.
Okay.
Uh-huh.
Just one last question.
Sure.
How many agencies would you say have access to our system?
I was just looking at it yesterday. I think we're at. And most, and let me just preface this, that most of them are in the southeast. Mostly Georgia, I would say probably 80+% are shared access in Georgia. We do have several in Florida. We do have Alabama, North, South Carolina, Tennessee, Southeast mainly. I feel like the ones that are outliers, we had a case that kind of went up to Maryland. So we added the states between Georgia and Maryland. We had a case that went out to Arizona, so we started adding and reciprocating those out to Arizona. So, you know, I review every one of them. Matter of fact, I had 3 this morning, and all 3 were from Georgia that just actually came on board with Flock that are fairly close, like.
The access is case specific though, right? They don't have blanket access, right?
No, they would have to do the search data input to be able to search our cameras. And when you do that, you can do your cameras, you can do within 50 miles, you can do state of Georgia. So you know, when you're searching, we limit our searches to what do we need? You know, we're not gonna search New York City just to search New York City. You know.
So I'm a little confused on you have to have a case, but if somebody's coming in from another, you know, place, they're not gonna have a case number. I mean, I don't
Yeah.
understand that.
So every agency can set their own parameters within Flock and I don't want to misspeak, so I may have to follow up with you on that.
Okay.
Because I will say Flock has been adding a lot of the audit tools that we used to do audits by hand. Now they have an audit tool in addition to us still doing audits by hand. And those systems, they're bringing on audit systems. So if you don't mind, I can get you an answer tomorrow. I just don't want to misspeak about what's required on all agencies.
Thank you, Chief Hess, for the presentation and for all the work that you've done and safeguards you've put in to try to make our use of it responsible. I just have like a couple of questions, and you may not know the answer to this one, but even if I know we only subscribe to the, moment in time snapshot, but do the cameras that we have, are they capable of taking the pictures of other things like people and things like that, even though we don't have access to it because we don't pay for it?
The only thing that triggers that photo is if the cameras, and this is something I probably should have put in there. So the cameras are in the right of way of the roadway.
Yep.
Way the cameras are angled, they're not angled at the sidewalk, they're angled into the roadway to be able to capture that. Now, I will say that you may get a more down the road picture of a sidewalk because the angle that the wide angle, the angle of the camera capturing it.
Right.
But I mean,
It would be captured in a car. There would happen to be somebody on the side. And my other question is like, what would it mean? Like, let's say we get rid of our flock camera. What would it mean for our city to be a no flock zone in the middle of a area that is heavily blocked? Like, could it, let's say somebody commits a crime and I know I've driven by 10 flock cameras getting away from the scene of the crime. Could they theoretically then ditch that car somewhere in Avondale Estates, steal another car, then get out of Avondale? Like
that's kind of a loaded question. I mean,
yeah,
don't get me wrong. I mean, we can throw a theory out. Yeah, that's a theory.
yeah. But like,
Do I want to give that much credit to a criminal?
yeah,
Probably not.
yeah,
But what it is we're a whole in a network. And I will tell you, DeKalb County, we work very closely together, all of our municipalities. And as soon as we went on board, our first agencies that were approved were DeKalb County agencies, DeKalb PD, SO, Marshals, all the municipalities.
Yeah.
It pays dividends across the board. And, I don't want to get into speculation, but that's just something that's only the future would know is if we were to become another void again. Because every agency in DeKalb with minus Pine Lake is a subscriber to Flock.
So Clarkston,
Lythonia,
like
everybody. Not to mention DeKalb County. DeKalb County actually has a very robust system. And you're seeing all the Flock is feeding into real-time crime centers on these bigger cities that have a need and create these real-time crime centers.
Chief, are you? Because I know some of the concerns that have been talked about. Concerns like legality and privacy concerns, and are you able to elaborate a little bit on like the legal hurdles that allow Flock to even run this model in the first place?
So,
what the legal things that they pass and what's tests and because we do have private laws in place and stuff. Can you elaborate on some of those concerns and what measures were?
Yeah.
were made?
The arguments that have been made in district courts, and that's where it's been at now, are Fourth Amendment, illegal search and seizure to capture that data. Those arguments have been struck down by circuit courts. There are still several pending, to include one in our circuit. It'll be the first one that's heard out of Florida. The way the rulings have here is to be a Fourth Amendment illegal search and seizure, they're arguing the tracking versus the snapshot in time. And when a citizen is in a public space, to include a roadway, they do not have a right to privacy. It goes back to, you see videos of First Amendment auditors that stand on a sidewalk and videotape a shopping center trying to get a reaction because you have no right to privacy when you're in a public space. The roadway specifically, you have no right to privacy preventing an officer running your tag just to run your tag. That's been ruled on as well. So what Flock is virtually doing what any officer could do at any time and capturing that data and getting that return. And if it's on what we call a hot list, wanted stolen vehicle, wanted person, missing person, associated with other criminal activity that falls in that category, it's capturing that and basically doing an officer's job. I don't want to pigeonhole myself, but it is a huge force multiplier for a 14-person police department in Metro Atlanta. It really is. Now, I also expect everyone's right to privacy. I mean, when I take the uniform off and I'm out with my family, if someone were to throw a video camera up in my face in public, I wouldn't react, but I mean, would it kind of hurt me? Yeah, I respect that, but that's where we're at with the current federal case laws, current circuit court rulings. Can that change in time? We all know one of these cases go to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court justices rule differently. It changes the whole scope of that. But until that happens, we work in the here and now of that this is all public information. It's the right to privacy. It's not tracking your vehicle, as I explained before, because it's a moment in time at a specific location. That's why if I were to put a GPS tracker on your vehicle, I would have to have a warrant to place that tracker to track your vehicle and actually give me where your vehicle's traveling. Flock doesn't do that. The ALPR system does not do that. Let me reiterate. I'm only talking about what we have. It's a moment in time. It's a snapshot on a public roadway in a vehicle where you're legally required to have a registration, a tag on that vehicle.
Thank you.
Well,
I've got a question. So first, thank you for you personally, for your activity with your organization, with the chiefs of police, and with your demeanor and the way you talk about this and the way you consider it. Because it's clear that you are seeing it holistically, you are aware of personal, private, big picture and small picture concerns. You've given examples of lots of different ways where it can go in different directions. So thank you for that. I really appreciate the way you address this. So I have two questions. One is about retention timeframe, and one is about a technical specific thing about CAM. So I saw that the police chiefs of City of Decatur did a similar presentation to their board. And I think I also read, but I just can't remember where, that the Flock Systems has changed their maximum retention date to 7 days instead of 30 days. Not for cases, like when it's in a case, it can keep going, but just for like the raw data, let's say. Can you comment on that?
So that specific retention period has come up in some preemptive conversations leading into some of these future meetings we're going to have with GACP and GSH, Sheriff's and Chief Associations, is further reducing that time limit down shorter. I personally, what I have seen is reducing it down to 7 days may be a little bit too much. The reason being is we may be investigating a case and we may not have that vehicle information for 6 days. We may not only get that vehicle information until day 7. Could I see it being reduced? Yeah, I think 7 days is a little bit much. I'm open to discussions with my peers as we move forward, working with the legislators. I think 7 days is too little, and also think about, prime example of this is, how many of y'all go for a vacation for a full week? That's 7 days. You come home and you realize your house is burglarized. You have Ring cameras. You didn't see the alert. It captured the vehicle. Day 8, you're reporting that burglary, or day 7 in the 11 hour, you're reporting that burglary, and that data's gone. And that's what I'm looking at is, in a perfect world, we have vehicle information in real time. In a real world situation, most of our cases, we're not developing those leads of a vehicle for several days. So 7 days, I've seen it, and when I'm preparing for some of these meetings, I'm going to be talking to my criminal investigators and kind of seeing what their timeline is on when they're developing realistic leads, because we don't want to go every black SUV. We want to make a model. We may not get that Cadillac Escalade till day 7 or day 8. That's kind of where I'm at with that.
Okay, and then just a practical camera question, like you mentioned. When the system's installed, or when a camera is installed, or if a future camera were to be installed, do you personally get an opportunity to see the angle of view that camera has?
Yeah, so basically in the quoting phase, the development before approval, they have to send a scout team out. I give them locations where I would like them. Those cameras are solar powered, so they have to send a scout team out, and they have to do some map work on the back end to make sure that it's going to generate enough solar power. Additionally, it gives me a snapshot of what that angle would look like before install, and then after install, we can see it in real time. And we can also make adjustments. I mean, that's the thing too, is they have an angle, downward angle, because they're up on poles, as well as like an angle away from the road that they maintain for their system to be effective.
I know that, many people would prefer to just maybe not have it, but if there were a camera in what someone might consider a sensitive location, like near a school, if there was other places where if it could be moved 50 feet and still operate function, is there an opportunity to consider that?
Yeah.
If there was a reasonable concern even if it's just to feel better and feel like the school is not in the field of view, for example.
No, absolutely, and that can be done. I will just caveat that with, once the cameras are in place and everything is good to go, there is a cost associated with moving the equipment. To me, it's minimal. It's anywhere between $500 to $1,500 based on location and everything else. Those can be considered and dealt with after installation.
Thank you.
Well,
Okay. Thank you, Chief Hess.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
All right.
Let's move to the next item. If we know there's a lot of people here to comment. You want to?
Yeah. Okay. So the DeKalb Municipal Association, which is the Association of Municipal Governments within DeKalb County. So all of the cities of DeKalb County have a working group to discuss items of mutual relevance. And one of the items of mutual relevance, though unlikely and far into the future if ever considered, would be the complete municipalization of DeKalb County. Meaning that either existing cities would expand their boundaries or new cities would be created to remove unincorporated areas of DeKalb County. Now, the likelihood of that happening, as the mayor and I understand politically, is about 0%. However, as an exercise, the BMA executive director has asked all of the municipalities to provide a map of its ultimate aspirational annexation goals if there were no political hurdles. So that the city of Brookhaven, who has a robust GIS system, can plot all of that. The reason to do that is so that if this ever came to fruition, we would have a head start on those discussions and not be embroiled in inner-city conflict. So what I am proposing to submit to the DeKalb Municipal Association for this exercise purpose is the study map that we developed in 2018 with the Carl Vinson Institute. And I've included that map in your packet. The map is a little out of date because some of the area that we studied for annexation purposes has already been annexed, i.e. Berkeley Village. So my thought was to provide DMA with this map for the purposes of their GIS exercise, knowing that this is not a decision point for you guys. It's not a decision point that will happen anytime in the near future or something that the county is interested in taking on with the state legislature or anything that the state legislature is actually interested in taking on. So I say that to say that our submission is likely just for show purposes. Now, what could become a reality, and the CEO has expressed interest in the past, is that there are what we kind of refer to as donut holes in already incorporated areas where you have a property or an assemblage of properties that still exist as unincorporated within the normal boundaries of the incorporated area. And we have two of those. The first is Avondale Station Apartments, and the other is the American Legion property. Now, the CEO has expressed an interest because it's difficult for them to provide services to these properties within the boundaries of cities. So she has expressed interest in hearing a case from the municipalities for incorporating existing donut holes. I don't know what her interest level is. I don't know whether or not the state legislature would share that interest because it would have to be a legislative annexation. Just to clarify with you guys, there's only two ways that a city can accomplish an annexation outside the bounds of state legislation, and that is through either the 100% method or the 60 method. To brush you up on those processes, the 100% method means that a property owner with us, who has control of an entire property says we want to annex into the city. And if the city is interested in that proposition from that property owner and it's contiguous, then the city can grant that annexation petition. There's also another method for neighborhoods called the 60-60 method. This is 60-40.
What is it? 60?
No,
60-60.
It's 60-60. It's 60-60, and I'll explain.
Okay,
so the 60-60 method for neighborhoods. So individual properties owned by multiple, you have more than one owner, such as what happened with Berkeley Village. 60% of the property owners in that area and 60% of the registered voters in that area have to sign the annexation petition for you guys to even consider the action. Needless to say, again, what I'm proposing to submit to DMA is really just for exercise purposes only. And I propose revising this map to exclude the need or the want or the desire for Berkeley Village, which is already in the case.
This was the map you did in 2018.
Yeah, those were areas we studied for potential annexation, knowing that would be the far reaches of boundary expansion. That's correct. And if one other thing too, speak to, was that potential municipal conflict earlier. So let's just say we reduced these areas. That would provide a greater opportunity for your neighbors in Clarkston or Decatur to try food those areas. So you want to be as aspiration.
But like Patrick said, I mean, I think the chances of something like this happening are pretty slim. I mean, the county has no, I mean, other than these donut holes he mentioned, which are, it's really the departments in the American Legion. There's no reason for the county to want to do this. I mean, they're just, you know, why would they do it? It's like,
I think they would be very opposed to
they
it.
would be. I mean, unless they're spending more on services in that area than they're collecting in taxes, which is rare. I mean, I don't know, maybe it's not, but generally that's not something they're super interested in. There would be some advantage to them municipalizing themselves for the entire southern part of the county because they collect a whole other range of taxes that don't currently collect. And, but the argument for that is not actually that great either. And there would be probably some serious opposition to that. I mean, there was an effort for years to municipalize the whole southern part of the county, and it got a tiny bit of traction, but it eventually fizzled out after years of effort. And, you know, and I think if we could gain some of these properties like the Legion and the apartment complex, that'd be great. That makes sense. There's been an indication that the county's interested in doing that because, again, the cost of servicing those is, I guess in their mind, not really worth it. And there's a lot of those in the county. And they probably studied that and said, hey, you know, it's not gonna be a big enough hit for us. These cities need it, we don't want it, you know, works out better. But like Patrick said, to not participate in this could be falling into well. You never know, but because the legislature changes frequently, and what the legislature was 10 years ago or 12 years ago is not what it is now, and appetites change, and who knows? Yeah. So we're just trying to, as we've done many times before, just make sure we put our claim in. So
That's it.
is that fair?
Yes.
Where we are?
Yes.
So. You know, so, I mean,
Y'all are all good if I send,
yeah.
yeah. Okay.
This is probably at least the third time we've done this. But, okay, let's try it again. Why not? You know, so let's see. Anyway, I got nothing more.
That's it.
That's it. Okay. So any
Can
other?
we take a 2-3 minute break?
Sure.
Okay.
2-minute break.
All right.
She's counting.
Don't count.
we have, you know, covered all of our discussion items, and so public comment. We're now open for public comment. If you see the thing 3 minutes, please give us your name and address just for the record. Yes, Phil.
Phil over 89 Berkeley Road. Maybe in order, regarding the golf cart ordinance, I would basically agree that keeping the age at 16, I guess makes sense. But I would like counselor and the BOMC to explore mechanisms for giving police force a greater opportunity to actually do policing on golf carts, because from what I am seeing, which included, I think, yesterday or the day, someone driving with a baby strapped to their chest in a golf cart, that some greater form of enforcement, I think, is necessary to keep something from happening, because obviously, even with the rodeos occurring, people are not obeying the existing laws, and raising the age isn't going to change that. Then regarding the clock system, I would encourage the BOMC to continue in the current in the current contract, and but be very cognizant of what Flock is doing to make the security of to eliminate abuse of the program, and then hopefully have that information available make the decision on whether to renew it. And thank you, Chief Best, for having a really good policy for us, and hopefully influencing building policies for statewide through the task force. And then I will say, with a great amount of relief, I'm happy to hear that it was an exercise only for the annexation, because in seeing the map and discussing with my better half, I was very, very worried about what an increase in geographical size of the what's being shown there would do to the character of our city as a whole. Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, you go. Yep. Yes, ma'am.
Hi, I'm Laura Whalen. I'm at 58. Thank you, Chief Hess, for your presentation. I very much appreciate it. Two things strike me. Thank you for putting some guardrails in place for our efforts. Appreciate that. Two things that were said. Chief, you said that approximately 300 agencies beyond Avondale have access to our information. Agree to that. I don't know if you looked at me with my mouth dropped open like a fish when you said that, because it doesn't go away. That's the fight they concerns. I realize that you have control over here. You said, and it's true, you don't have control over what company. And so using it in appropriate use in other places, that is. I ask you to think about not having, revoking or limiting that access, because that is extreme. You can control what happens here. It's like a bill. And then Patrick, you mentioned, and maybe Chief has to speak to this, if, this is an if, someone violates the policy in the department, inappropriate use of account here. Patrick, you mentioned discipline. I want to know what that is, and can you use this? Thank you.
Let me just point out, this is public comment, and we try not to engage in sort of a debate or dialogue, and we're recording your questions and can get back to you, but we can't always answer everything on the spot, and we try to avoid that. So
I thought public comment was more dialogue.
it's not, it's actually there, but yeah, we've done that in the past, but it doesn't work.
So if you're able to get back to me, how will that?
You'd have to give us your email or
We have comment cards too at the end of the diets up there.
So the comment on a written down will be responded to now. Okay, thank you.
And that's just to be fair to everybody. So. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Diane Doherty and I'm live in the condos. And I'm also a member of Avondale Action. I'm very concerned about what you had said. I loved your presentation. I'm very satisfied with the work of Avondale police. But what I am concerned, and I believe the local structure is being framed properly with benchmarks so that you could look back and see how this is working. My large concern is building a larger surveillance network. And at any point in time, we couldn't stop it. And I would like to know when you go to these meetings with the senator, I think it's really important to have everybody understand that even if there is oversight in Georgia, this is much larger than one state or the southern states. And we have to keep in mind the broader picture of what is going to be the final outcome as laws change. So I think it can be a very good thing, but a lot of times when you build something that is this massive and grows, I think it could become something that is that can get out of control and could come back to bite us. Thank you all, and thank you for your efforts.
Okay. Yes, ma'am, back there, and then.
Yeah, my name is Paula Rose. I'm at 842 Stratford, and I was not planning to speak tonight, so I don't have anything prepared, but I did want to say I came into it, as many people have already said, not necessarily concerned about the AEPD. And thank you, Chief Hess. What you said tonight really just confirmed that we don't necessarily have anything to be worried about locally. That being said, my bigger concerns are with Flock as a company, and not just Flock, but also their competitors. The idea that the data just disappears after 30 days, maybe I'm cynical, but I don't believe that. And that's the concern that I have. It's not Avondale, and maybe not even, some of the other access, which is a concern, but my bigger concern is the bigger picture, the Flock, what they're doing with it, what other companies are working with them to do with it, what governments are working with them to do, whether it's under the table or above board.
Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah.
Hey there, my name's Ethan. I live at 3154 Stratford Green. I believe you're a good man, and I appreciate you preparing this presentation, Chief Hess. The gap in your logic is, yes, perhaps now this seems on the up and up. I understand you want to focus on the now. You reiterated that many times. You said you don't want to play the what if game, then why have the risk? You do seem ready to focus on what ifs when we're talking about a 7-day limit. Why is this different? Why should we trust Flock? What if the policy changes in the future?
Yep.
Shouldn't the purpose of the chief of police be to be forward thinking for assessing risk and leading by example? Wouldn't you want a leader with accountability? Why should we trust Flock to look out for Avondale Estates? Cities in Colorado have canceled their Flock cameras and are taping garbage bags over the cameras because Flock won't take them down. Does that seem like a vendor we can trust for our city?
Speak on it.
I'm skeptical of the claim that they don't track routes, as these cameras are everywhere. It doesn't matter what route you are taking if they are tracking the points where you are. Also, your Hateville point is flawed because if you take 285, Flock doesn't monitor interstates yet. You can get to Avondale to Hateville because it's on 285. Otherwise, Atlanta is the most surveilled state in the country. There's a lot in a lot of information in your presentation about what's happening now. But we are worried about how these systems will may be abused now and in the future. I hope you will join us in being proactive and thinking about a better world that we would like to live in.
Thank you. Yes.
Well, again, thank you for the presentation. I do really appreciate steps you've taken locally. You seem like you've been proactive more than what was required to be on top of a lot of these concerns. I think it's clear not everywhere has. But beyond just potential for abuse, I also want to just talk about what even the company does on the surface. I understand that it's taking still pictures, not technically tracking you. But if there's cameras at every corner, you can see here, 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 that paints a very clear picture. I understand the cameras are not everywhere right now, but the push seems to be to install more and more of them and expand them to get to that point that is effectively tracking. Even the distinction with still pictures between videos. A video is just a lot of still pictures. If you put enough still pictures together, you get a very clear picture. It might not be 24 frames per second. It might be 1 frame per second, 1 frame every 10 seconds. You can still clearly see what's going on with that. This creates a database on everyone that passes in front of these cameras, whether they committed a crime or not. Just in a database ready to be looked up. I think regardless of a technicality, I know it's a legal gray area currently going through the courts. I think that makes a lot of people uncomfortable. I also don't really believe the company's claims about still photos and only tracking vehicles. Not in Avondale Estates, but in other places in Georgia. There's flock cameras in parks, on walking trails, places where cars would never be. If all they can do is take pictures of videos, what are those cameras doing? It just doesn't seem to add up. The company has been publicly caught on them many, many times before. I don't know why we really trust them.
Yes.
Greg Tendler, 712 Stratford Green.
Will Kidd, 13 South Avenue Plaza. Thank you for addressing some of our concerns, Chief. I just been wondering throughout all of this in the discussion of flock cameras, why would like a more analog type of traffic camera not be sufficient? One that is not included on this enormous nationwide database with so many points of access to so many different people who we have no idea who they are. So that's two cents.
Thank you. Yes, Phil.
I'm Philip Flavish, 3230 Kensington. My whole career has been in IT, so I just want to talk about kind of the IT concern I have. I don't know about Flock, I don't know about the company, how good they are, but once they deliver data to somebody, they've lost control of it. So the claim about 14 days or 30 days of data retention, yeah, you lose the ability to search, but once it's out there, it's out there. And so if the data gets, prints, screen captures, copy paste, whatever. We live in a world of aggregation where people are taking all this data about us and putting it all together about where we shop and what we do in photos. So once that data is delivered to the customer, the data retention, it's not a moot point, but it's a lesser point. So I just want people to remember that once it's delivered, it's delivered, and the data retention doesn't really stop that. Thank you.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Hello, I'm Ashley Passenger. I also live at 3154 Stratford Green. I understand that you find the flock system is successful, but I wonder if it's worth all of us living in a surveillance state. While you say it's a snapshot, the success stories are because it tracks people across the state and over state lines. A system across our country is being built that have tracked women looking for abortion care, have stalked women, have stalked activists and protesters. What else will it track in the future? And our cameras contribute to this system. It would be easier to arrest people without the Constitution, without needing a warrant, without having to prove just cause. Just because these cameras make your job easier doesn't mean they're right. It's the scale and connected network that makes it a violation. It's also our money in our community. We can say if we don't want to be photographed in public with our own tax dollars every time I go past the Falcon. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
Adam Galatudo, 3048 Open Place, back again, still here. So the 7-day thing is a setting, you can revert it back to 30 days. It's just a default setting. The DHS thing, check the email, it's a lie. Let's see, facial recognition, vehicle making model, those are full video sensors. They can do it. Raven was a gunshot detection system, and then a software rollout turned it into a human distress detection system. It's all there. Whether or not they're giving it to us, that's a different question. Also, Dunwoody PD, they ran a search for vehicle with police sticker. That's more. Yeah, you can find this stuff. It's all been FOIA. Let's see. I don't know about John Albers. I don't know anything about him, but there's some interesting stuff online about Flock's access to Chris Carr, our AG. So I'd be surprised if Garrett doesn't show up at y'all's meetings, honestly. Privacy argument is basically predicated on the fact that they're so disconnected, it's not tracking. Atlanta is not the most, the correction on that is Atlanta is the most surveilled city in the world outside of China. We have they have at least 28,000 Flock cameras, and AJC clocks it at 60,000. I just don't know if they're all connected to Flock. So at some point, how dense does it have to get before you are tracking? So this system wasn't built to be secure. It was built to make money. I'm glad they finally added multiple factor authentication and requiring case numbers, but they didn't before. Flock is just plugging holes in a dam after they're found in a FOIA request that makes a national news story. So if I was wearing that badge, I would absolutely be arguing on how to use this ethically, because it's very powerful and it's helpful, but we can't, unfortunately. It's just bad. It's just a bad system. And we cannot control how other people use it. So we're part of this thing trying to use it well, but we can't control how everyone else is using it. And we can't know if the company is doing to us what they have demonstrably done to other municipalities throughout. So unfortunately, we just can't use it. It's a venture capital backed private firm in their Series G funding round. They are, what are they up to that we can't FOIA? It's basically the question, like how much policing do we have to be doing of Flock to make sure we are not participating in all these things we know that have already happened nationally? Yeah. Oh, and the cameras, by the way, I've walked by cameras that are pointed at kids' parks. It's all there, pools, stuff like that. It's all there. Thank you. Thank you.
Yes.
So I won't reiterate my entire statement again. Lizzie Board, 712 Stratford Green. But as per the concerns mentioned in the regular session about ICE having access to us, and I know that Flock says they do not contract with federal agencies, but if we can be compelled to work with ICE or DHS, as per Appendix F that was mentioned last meeting, then effectively our data is their data. And I do think we have to keep that in mind. We're thinking about security. I understand Chief Hess is doing everything he can to keep it safe within ABPD, and I appreciate what you've done, but respectfully, it's out of your hands. Thank you.
All right. Do we have any online? None. Okay. All right, last call from the audience.
Is anybody missing a phone?
Oh.
Oh.
Personal tracking device. You don't think this thing is listening to everything today? So, okay, any other comments? Once or twice? Okay. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for your comments and waiting through 3 hours of meeting. I hope that it was worthwhile in some way for you. I do appreciate you being here this phase. With that, Any closing comments up here? Are we all good? Okay, so do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yeah, move.
Apply. Do I have a second? Next, apply. All in favor, say aye. Thank you all again. Have a good evening.
I'm still.
Now he's being.
You all?